What's shaking, everybody? Ross Mandel coming to you live from Pod Space in Miami. What an exciting guest I have for you all today. You guys are familiar with real estate, Miami, commercial real estate, that's big shot stuff. I'm sitting here with Mr. Todd Nepola. Is that the way we pronounce it?
That's how you pronounce it.
Nepola. Todd, say hello.
Thanks for having me, Ross. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm looking forward to it. So it's an exciting introduction. Let's go.
Now, what are you, like 5'11", 6 feet?
6 feet.
6 feet, about 175?
A little bit more, about 182, but we'll get back to 175.
He's solid. He looks like a friggin' mannequin to me. He's dressed to the nines.
I had to dress it up for you.
I couldn't have put together a better outfit in myself. You know, I'm Wall Street. I'm a Wall Street boy. And we look at everybody. We look at the tie. We look at the shirt. We look at the collar. We look to see if there are collar stays. We look to see the French cuff. We look to see, the cuff on the pants and the way the crease lies. People don't have any idea how involved it gets.
That's right. But they don't know how important it is to dress well.
Exactly right. Now, so Todd, you come in here today. I don't want to tell you look like $1 million because I'd be selling you short.
Oh, thank you.
You passed $1 million a long time ago. And the first thing that we recognized is that we're fellow New Yorkers. Is that right?
That's right. Long Island, Staten Island.
Tell us where you're from. Tell us a story about where you came from.
Well, you know it very well, but Staten Island, New York is one of the 5 boroughs of New York City. It's the forgotten borough, and a lot of people say, oh, don't you love New York? Not if you're from Staten Island. People think of Manhattan now. They think of Brooklyn is all built up, but Staten Island's a small little place, but it was a great place to be raised because everybody knew their neighbors. Everybody's cousin was related to someone's friend and knew someone. There was a lot of lineage there. But when I was 14 years old, my parents decided it was time to move to South Florida and get out of the cold. And we moved down to South Florida, which is North Miami Beach. Now it's the city of Aventura today.
What year was that when you guys moved down?
That was 1986.
Your parents were very smart.
Yes.
Boy, 1986 was a very good year. 1986, I had just hit about $30 million in liquid net worth, believe it or not.
It was a good year to be rich.
Yeah, I was 29, man. Damn, if I would have just cashed out then, it would have been a lot better. Boy, I had to go through a lot of ups and downs after that. Now, so now your mom and dad pack it in. What did your dad do?
My dad, actually, it's interesting. My dad worked when he was in New York. We worked for a company called, I think it was Port Jefferson maybe, and he was an engineer. And in the late 70s, when everything got bad, he got laid off and he had no job. And that's where I got the idea to become an entrepreneur because I saw what he did. He didn't go out and get another job. He liked cars. So he started selling cars out of the house. And, he would sell the car, fix it up. My mom would sell it. And she'd say, it's her car. You think you're buying it from the housewife. And he'd do it again and again and again.
How smart.
And then from that, he opened up a car lot. And then from there, he said, I'm going to buy the lot instead of renting it. And then he figured out I make more money renting these lots than working here. And it's too cold. So he rented the lots and packed up and moved to Florida and kind of retired.
What a great story that is. I hate to say I bought my first little Mercedes from a housewife, I thought.
Yeah.
Now you have me
Might have been my mom.
Now you have me thinking, right? Beautiful little 380 SL. I mean, what? How clever is that?
Yep.
So you
figured
come
it
from
out.
a smart... Listen, to be an engineer is no joke.
Yeah.
You have to be pretty bright,
Yeah.
right? Educated, I would say. It's like an academic thing.
Yeah.
But engineers are, Elon Musk. I'd say more, right?
Well, he wasn't as smart as Elon Musk. I don't want to give him too much credit. But what I was always proud of him for is when the going got tough, he was a guy back then, women didn't really work back then. So He was the provider for the family. He had a wife and 2 little kids, and you lose your job. It's serious. And he found a way to pivot and go forward and thrive.
I love it. Wow, That's a great story. And I hope you people are listening out there.
Yeah.
Why put yourself in somebody else's hands and work for somebody? And if you do, get yourself a side hustle.
That's right.
You have to be your own boss in life. You're the star of your own life. This is not a dress rehearsal, right? So, Todd, this is really, really a great start. I am really impressed. You come from as a kid growing up like this, you were witness to your parents doing these things, right?
Right.
I mean, you watched.
Oh, yeah.
Your dad pivot.
Dad pivoted. Mom went from being a housewife, like I said, to selling cars out of the house. When Dad used to go to Bordentown to the auctions, I think it was Wednesdays.
Right.
Mom went to the car lot. The car lot wasn't, the facilities you're
Right.
thinking of today. It was working out of a trailer. That's
Right.
what the car lots were
Right.
back then on Highland Boulevard.
Right.
Might still be. But Mom
Right.
would pick up the slack. Mom would do some of the accounting at night at the dining room table, and I was raised seeing this. So the two of them came together and did it together.
That's what people do, right? They figure it out.
That's the definition of success: overcoming it and winning.
I love that. And look at that. Are your parents still alive?
My dad passed. My mom is still alive.
Sorry to hear
alive
that.
and kicking. Thank
How
God.
proud would your dad be of you right now at this moment?
My dad was old school Italian, so it took him a while to be proud because he was always competitive with me.
I understand.
But in the beginning, we bumped heads a little bit when I started doing better and better. And in the end, I think he was truly proud.
There's no question in
Yeah.
my mind how proud they would
Yeah.
be. So now they pack up the family. You go from Staten Island to Aventura, North Miami, Florida. You must have been happy, no? I mean,
Well,
what
it was
the-
funny because my parents
hell?
wanted to bribe us thinking we wouldn't go. My brother didn't want to go. He was in high school and
Oh,
I was
yeah.
ready to go. So my parents told me, if you move, we'll get you a little boat. I was like, yeah, I was going anyway. I didn't have a choice, but I'll take
Right.
it. So yeah, I mean, you move in December from New York to Florida. I went from 30 degrees to 80 degrees. And, I never even saw a beach to, being on the beach every day. So I was in heaven.
Yeah. You never came down to Florida much when you were growing up?
No, came once to Orlando.
That was like our thing as a family, 2 weeks every year,
Yeah.
South Florida. So I always knew I'd end up in Florida at some point.
Yep.
But that's so cool. So now you're 14. What is that, like junior high school?
Yep.
In-
Well, it was actually high school in New York. I got pulled back. So, because here in Florida, ninth grade is still junior high school. At least it was back then. So I was in ninth grade back into the junior high school and then off to the high school.
So a young Italian boy, Aventura High School, North Miami. What'd you think? What were you thinking? Make friends quick. Girls. I mean, what the?
You did and you didn't. You come in, you're
It's a
different.
tough age for a
It
boy.
is. You come in with your thick New York accent. You dress different. You talk different. You act different. So not everyone's going to like you. I mean, bullying was real back then too. But, I kind of think when you're from the Northeast, you're a little bit tougher than some people. So
You're not hands of yourself.
yeah, it wasn't really a phase. But quickly, I think it's easier for guys. You guys play basketball, you play football, you run out
Right.
there and you just pick up games and you make friends pretty quick.
make
so
friends, and
I
you're outside
acclimated
a lot,
very,
right?
very quick. Oh, you're always outside. Yeah.
In Florida, especially. I mean, in December in Staten Island, you're not running around too much.
You inside.
Cold.
Yeah.
And so where'd you go to? You obviously went to college, I'm guessing.
So I was never a school person, never did well in
Okay.
school, never actually agreed with the school system,
That's a
even
great
when I was
admission.
in school. Yeah, I remember, and I still remember to this day, and a fifth grade teacher told my mom I'd amount to nothing. They never really wanted to teach me anything. And when I got old, I realized school wasn't my path. So I really didn't do well on the SATs. I let everybody know I got a 720, and that's combined. I did terrible.
A
Seven-
720?
A 720. And I said, I'm not going to college anyway. I really don't care. I just wanted to go to work. I wanted to take control of my destiny.
Good for you.
But then all my friends were going to college. I said, wait a second, I have nothing to do. So the only school that would have me was Hillsborough Community College in Tampa. So I packed up and moved up to Tampa.
Okay, little lateral move.
Had a great time, had a lot of fun. People ask me all the time if I think college was worth it. It was a great experience. It was very cheap to go to school back then. I think it was $30 a credit. So it was no
Right.
financial hardship. So for that, it was worth it.
A lot of partying over there, huh?
A lot of partying, a lot of fun. I did work though. So I learned a lot of stuff. I promote parties. I would do all sorts of stuff. So I had a lot of fun. But I wanted to leave school because, as you well know, the hottest thing in the market then was everybody wanted to be a stockbroker. Everybody wanted to be Gordon Gekko. Whether he was doing it legally or illegally, you wanted to be Gordon. And I wanted to leave school. My parents like, don't leave school, just finish, just finished. And I did that. And then I immediately went and took a job at Gruntle and Company as a cold calling trainee.
So that's where you started your
That's where I
Wall
started.
Street career.
That's right.
Gruntle, good firm. I told you before we went on air, I almost bought Gruntle.
Yep.
And I should have. It was a mistake. Would have saved me a lot of agita. But all right, so now you're learning how to smile and dial and flip D&B cards, right?
That's right. A lot of cold calling, getting hung up on. You just go with it and you're in a room with hundreds of guys and girls and having a great time. And you don't realize what you're doing because everybody's doing it. So you kind of have blinders on, but you realize that it's really hard work. And it's really, really tough to get up every single morning and go get hung up on 800 times and get screamed at 800 times a day. But you do it because you earn a lot of money.
Yeah.
But what happened to me was I started realizing that if I miss work, I get paid zero. was a commission based.
Correct.
So occasionally someone would help you do a trade for a client or something, but you couldn't work remote. We didn't even have cell phones really. So
No.
you were kind of on your own. So I was looking for something to invest in because I did very well. And I looked at everything. It wasn't going to be real estate, but I knew some real estate because of my dad. I looked at investing in ATM machines. I looked at franchises. I would go to franchise shows. And I came very close to buying like 400 payphones from like a thing of that, which thank God I didn't buy. But there was a property for sale. It was a nice warehouse. And back then they just had a sign out front for sale. It was a foreclosure owned by a bank in Canada called Gentra. And I called them, made a deal, bought the property, and the rest is history.
How much was that deal?
They were asking 600. I got it down to 575. I thought I got the greatest deal known to mankind. And when I went to the closing table in June of 1998 to buy it, the lawyer, who was probably in his 50s at that point in time, he even told me, why would you buy real estate? Nobody wants real estate. Don't you realize this was a foreclosure?
That's when you buy it, when nobody wants it.
And I didn't even know about that whole, be greedy when people are scared. I'm
Right.
like, uh-oh. But I realized it would be okay because I still had a great job as a stockbroker. But I bought the property in June of 1998. 4 tenants were there. I signed new leases with those, 3 vacancies. I filled those. I cleaned it up. By June of 1998, I refinanced the property, got $600,000 out of it. So all my money back, plus like $10,000, $12,000 after closing cost. I owned it free and clear. Oh, excuse me, with the mortgage body. I had all my money back, and I was still getting about $5,000 a month in free cash flow come January.
Yeah.
And I was hooked. You want to talk about, something you just can't let go.
Wall Street, right? Enough. No, I don't want to talk to any more of these fucking clients anymore. Now,
I still did because I had fun, but I wanted to make more money so I could buy more properties, just keep buying more and more.
You use the business of the stock market.
That's right.
To fund your entree into the real estate world.
That's right. And then I hired managers. And then it was in 2000 when the tech bubble burst, because people seem to think nothing ever bursts, but it does. And when the market burst, I was making no money. I mean, nothing. I was making a lot of money as a young kid to virtually nothing. So I said, I'll just manage my own properties. I guess I was like 28, 29 years old. They said, I'll do it myself. So I started self-managing the properties. And that's when a lot of people would ask me for help. And they'd say, well, why are your properties rented and mine isn't? I said, because I take it seriously. I do this every day.
Right.
So they'd say, would you manage mine? Would you lease mine? So that's how the management company came around. And let me tell you, the greatest growth period was the worst time. When 2008 hit and things got really vacant, we did fantastic. We quadrupled the size of the company in 2 years.
Everybody needed you.
Everybody needed help.
Everybody needed help.
That's right.
And you were right there. So I want to go back now because I'm intrigued now by this story. You got me on the hook.
Good.
You sunk the hook is right in my upper jaw. So now you get registered, you become a stockbroker at Gruntle and Company.
Mm-hmm.
Remember when you got registered? What year?
Sure I do. February 1995.
February of 1995.
That's right.
Wow, that's crazy. I'm thinking of my own stuff, because that's how I judge it. Look at everything, and now you have your own desk, your own rep number.
Well, I have my own license,
Right.
but I'm a trainee. So in the beginning, you're a cold caller underneath someone else. You got to get a certain amount of accounts for them.
Right.
In response, thanks for
accounts.
training them. Once you take care of them, then you go on your own.
Right.
You get $2,000 a month as a draw.
Right.
And you have 6 months to make it and fly away, and that's what they gave you.
And I'm assuming you're pretty good at this. I mean, you seem like a very, very talented sales type guy. And so you're on the phone, you're making some clients, right? You're meeting some people, and you're building your book.
Yep.
And that's how you raise that money.
Yep.
I guess you needed to buy that property, the warehouse. Would you put down like 100 grand or 150?
It was actually more. Actually, like 170, 180 down. And the bank that sold it to me, they financed it. So they were going to give me the original financing, which is actually funny too, because they gave me debt at 9%. And nobody could believe I was getting debt below 10 because we were coming off a cycle. And when I refinanced it 6 months later, it was at 8%. And that was like, wow, 8%. And it was never that high again, which is why I laugh when people talk about now these ridiculous interest rates.
People have no
you,
idea.
you haven't seen a cycle that I know about.
Right. And those cycles come back. I mean,
They do.
it's a very interesting thing. And I want to get to that later in the podcast because I have my own feelings as to what might be happening, but I will defer to you when it comes to anything real estate.
Okay.
So now you continue on as a broker and you make this real estate deal. What made you buy a warehouse? Just because it was there? I mean, I know you must have
It was for
evaluated
sale.
it.
No, I didn't. I didn't have a business plan. I didn't put together some 50-page Argus report and figure out the
Nah,
financials.
right,
What I did is I said, there's 7 tenants. I got to collect 7 rents. I'll
right.
pay a mortgage. I'll pay taxes. I'll pay insurance. I'll hire a landscaper. I'll pay some utility bills, and I'll do it. And I went and I got a bank account, and I got the big black checkbook, and I would do it myself. I
Right.
didn't have QuickBooks. I didn't have this whole plan. And far too many people are trying to figure out,
How
where the
to
business will
right.
be in 10 years. I didn't know it was going to be in 10 weeks. You just jump in and figure it the hell out. And
You
that's what we
figure it
did.
out. You jump in the pool and you learn how to swim that way. I
That's the
get it.
best way.
I get it 100%. And people wait till, if you're gonna wait till the time's perfect, you're never gonna do anything.
No, you won't.
There's no such thing as a perfect time. You never know enough.
Nobody knows it. No one has any
You
clue what
just gotta,
timing is.
you gotta grab your ball, so to speak, right? And
That's right.
you gotta dive in. That's always been my formula as well. All right, so let's go. So you decide you buy this warehouse in this is 98, you said?
June 1998.
So you are walking into this that .com bubble that burst was huge.
Yep.
March of 2000. That changed my life. I mean, I was that separated me from a lot of different people in the business. I made all my wealth. I created all my capital to this day in the worst of times.
Happens a lot.
Because when times are good, everybody's a genius.
Yeah.
Every idiot that runs around and pitches a deal is right. Can't go wrong in it, and I feel like we're living through that, a little bit of that right now.
Yep.
And that's why I know we're near a top. I really do. And the people that talk to me, I've advised to be flat, hedge neutral, and to get short. People have been rolling shorts, and I think that's a pretty safe bet, at least in the capital markets right now. Where the markets go, the real estate market tends to follow usually.
Yep.
Trump is this wild card. So there's, uncertainty both ways.
Yeah.
People are too afraid to go all the way short. But people are saying, look, the market might go higher, but it's going to go lower. There's no question. You know what I'm saying?
That's
We don't know
right.
how much higher it's going to go. But we know
And
it's going
that's
to go
the
a lot
thing.
lower.
What you just said is exactly right. We don't know.
Right.
But you have enough experience behind you to know it's going to dip and then it's going to come back. You just have to have that timeline in you. But far too many people think nothing goes down.
Yeah,
And I see it in real estate a lot.
Yep.
These people who have been doing this for less than 15 years, they've never seen a bad day.
That's
And they think COVID was a bad day, but that was one of the greatest times for real estate.
Of all
They don't
time.
know what a bad time is
They
yet.
don't know.
No, they don't know.
They don't know. And it's coming.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people that I know in the game, smart guys,
Yeah.
that 08, 09 really destroyed a lot of people, killed people. I mean, me, unfortunately, I got indicted because of 08, 09. But in the real estate world, these corrections are much slower to happen,
right.
and they're years apart.
Yeah.
With the liquidity of the stock markets are what attracted me. But go up quick, in and out, boom, boom, boom. But they go down quick. When they go down, you don't know. Real estate tends to follow a little bit of a more orderly direction.
Yeah.
But when your chips are on the table, it's hard to get your chips out when you're in that market.
Well, it's not liquid. You're stuck. You're
That's
in.
the whole
You're either
point.
in or you're going to lose it.
It's from closing to closing,
Yeah.
as you know.
Yeah.
So now you continue your career as a broker. You stay with Gruntle this whole time.
No. I was with Gruntle, and then I
Right.
did the typical jump ship because, you're a young guy and the company says, we'll give you $50,000 and a 5% higher payout. So, you jump around because you believe you're the talent. I'm the one.
100%.
I'm the one making the phone calls, and I'm the genius that picked every stock that just went up. So every stock was going up back then. So it was a very easy game.
was
So I
easy.
jumped ship a few times, and I finished the last place I worked. That was Biltmore Securities,
Okay.
and that was a real cold calling jungle, and I loved it.
Listen, there's a lot of talent in these jungles.
There is, and you really could learn from it. Every business has good and bad, but you got to pick out the good stuff you like and keep that stuff forever.
I agree. You see a lot of the most talented people in the sort of worst of places.
Oh yeah,
If you know what I'm saying.
yeah,
It's a shame
yeah.
because you see so much wasted talent. But I want to keep this on you. Now, you make this one real estate deal. You happy with it?
I loved it.
Ecstatic.
I loved it, and so many people were betting against it. I wasn't trying to prove them wrong. I just figured I took every penny out of my bank account, right down to $50. I literally went and applied for 3 credit cards just in case I needed cash advances so I could close, which luckily I didn't have to use them, but I would have because I didn't understand the closing cost. They said I might need more. I don't know if I'll have enough money. And everybody went against it. And then it worked. And then all of a sudden I was like, well, that was pretty smart. You did that. You know, again, at that point in time, now I'm 26 years old in January of 98. And I'm sitting there saying, you know, here's the beauty of 99. I'm refinanced out. I got my money back. I wasn't spending $5,000 a month. Back then, that was good money. I mean, my rent was 900. My Jeep Cherokee Limited was 400. I mean,
married,
I didn't need
no
5,000
kids.
bucks. Right. So
Right.
I already said, I don't actually have to go to work anymore. But you know what happens then? You're able to make even more money because now I'm working as a broker. I'm not desperate for the trade.
Right.
I don't even need to do it. You have a
Right.
whole
You're
different
like, fuck
swagger.
you.
You have a different swagger. You can do what you want.
Yes, you do.
And that's been the greatest gift real estate's ever given me. You could do what you want when you want. You can
got-
still work. And most guys I know in real estate work harder than most people, but you don't have to.
And you got your legs under you.
That's right.
And you have money coming in.
Yeah.
You're growing your equity. And they got a place to hang your hat.
That's right.
And it's a good feeling. I see it on you today. I
Thank
see
you.
it. You represent it. It represents you. It's really wonderful. It's really great to meet you today. And I mean that sincerely. So let's talk about what happens with life. You're 26, 27. You own this property. You're making some money. You just pulled like 600 grand out.
Well, no, I paid off the first mortgage.
You paid off the mortgage.
So I pulled
okay.
I pulled out my initial
Right.
capital was like 170, 180, somewhere around
Right.
that, plus a few
But
thousand
you're
extra.
pretty thick.
I'm doing
for
great.
a young man under 30, right?
Oh, yeah.
You got some money. So you still have your license.
And I'm still a broker, right?
You still got your broker's license. You still got your business. You got this little side hustle now, which just became a real business.
That's right.
And what happens? What's now you're hungry for deals? Is that it?
You know, it wasn't hard to buy property then. I remember you'd go to brokerage offices and you'd sit down, they'd flip through flyers of properties for sale. You could have your
Hundreds of places.
You could have your pick of them, and you would pick and make offers, and you'd buy what you could buy. But obviously, you could only buy so much because I didn't have investors or partners. It was just me.
right.
So once I spent the money, I had to do the same drill: buy it, renovate it, fix it up, do whatever I had to do, and try and pull the cash out to buy another one.
You did renovations?
I did a lot of renovations. I worked with a lot of grants with different cities. I still do that today, and get a lot of grants to remodel buildings so I could repurpose the
Now,
building.
what does that mean, grants?
So most cities offer grants that are always available to tenants and to property owners. Not all, but most. And what that is, there's CRA grants that will allow you as a property owner to renovate your property, and the city will give you money. Now, a lot of times they say it's free money, and people call me out on that. It's not free. I understand it's tax money, but it's free to me because I don't have to repay it. So the government will give you money to fix up your center. So we just did one up in Lauderdale Lakes.
Right.
We got $1.2 million for one property that's given to us. It's forgiven over 5 years, so long as I don't sell the property. And then I have to put in another $1 million to renovate the property. So it's like you're kind of getting like a 50% off coupon to fix your property.
They gave you $1 million too?
Give me
They
$1
wire it
million,
into your-
$1,188,000.
They
Yeah.
wire it into your account
After you do the work, yes.
after you do the work.
You got to do the work and finish it, because back in the old days, a lot of people would take grants and they ran out of money.
Right.
And then the city was kind of on the hook because they're in the
Right.
job with you. So now you do all the work, you finish it. Once the job is done and you spent your money, they give you back their share.
Do you have to show them the receipts?
Absolutely, yes.
You do. So everything has to be documented.
Everything you have to have lien. You got to do it all the right way, and you
Right.
want to do that. But imagine renovating your properties. You're getting 50, sometimes 60% off because of these deals you're getting with the city.
Right.
And you're helping the city, you're helping the community, but mostly you're helping yourself as a property owner.
Right. And you're in a sense, you're enriching the community, right?
That's right.
Because it's rundown properties are a big problem. I'll never forget. I was flown down, I think by Stephen Ross back in the 80s, and taken on a tour with a bunch of, promising stockbrokers.
Right.
That we were all making lots of money, hanging out. He owned a place in Soho at the time. And he had this vision of what we call South Beach today. And we saw a bunch of properties down there, and it was disgusting.
Yep.
When I tell you disgusting, I mean just it was horrible just even to go there.
Yep.
And there were dopers, on the floor, with needles in their arms, and cheap hookers and rats. I mean, it was really, and they were willing to turn over properties just if you were willing to pay some taxes and you're willing to upscale the property.
That's right.
Just to improve the property. So you're getting the property.
Free.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you just had to, landscape a little bit, patch it up. You hire a cool crew to go in there, whatever, clean it up,
That's right.
make it. So it's really an interesting thing. There are so many opportunities that people just don't know.
They're really, and they still exist.
They still exist.
It's just that far too many people want to go where the action is. So we're in Miami, and people say, "Oh, I want to get into Wynwood or Design District or
Right.
Brickell." that path has been taken.
Right.
The people who are going to make it big, they already made it. Stuff is trading at ridiculous multiples there. You got to go find the next one, and you got to be patient. You know, I had a neighbor in Sunny Isles, and he used to live upstairs from me. His name is Michael Deser, and he's Deser Properties. These guys are monsters, him and his son Gil. And they built like the Porsche Tower. They built the Trump Towers.
Wow.
He's building now the Bentley Tower. His dad moved here from Israel to America, and he had call centers in Soho. He's now the largest private owners of properties there. But when he bought these warehouses, it was beyond a horrible
It was
neighborhood.
almost zero.
Right.
Right.
So now he's probably got, I don't know, I wild guess, hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars worth of property
Oh,
there.
yeah.
And then he comes down to Sunny Isles, Florida, when it was all two-story motels in the early 80s,
Right,
and
right.
nobody wanted it either. There's all
Motel Row.
gangs and drug addicts on there.
Correct.
And he bought them, and you laugh because you look at the duration of this guy's life. He's a multi-billionaire now, and now his son is building a lot of spectacular buildings.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, he's so good. No, he just had a vision and time. He got ahead of the curve. He bought in areas nobody wanted to buy in.
Right.
And he would actually tell me he was buying warehouse because he knew what I did. Big warehouse. He had a lot of money 10, 15 years ago. And when nobody wanted warehouse, he was buying big warehouses, 30,
Right.
40 bucks a foot. And he never sells this stuff. So this guy's just kept on getting richer and richer by buying in areas nobody wanted to go to.
And now it's gold.
And now people are like, he owns all the Sunny Isles. He does, but when he bought it, you didn't want to go there.
Nobody wanted to go there.
Right. So he deserves it.
I was going to Sunny Isles when I was a kid.
Yeah.
My grandmother had a place, their little studio efficiency. I mean, it was like a weird place, right?
Got to have the vision.
Well, you have to have patience, vision. You have to be willing to sacrifice. When you take your money and you tie it up for 10, 15 years, you don't even know how long.
That's right.
You have to, you're sacrificing, enjoying that money now and that lifestyle now. A lot of people are unwilling to do that.
They are.
A lot of people,
they're
especially
super
today, this is the sense I get from young people.
You do. And I actually said something about that on social media the day about you have to be willing to do that. And of course, you get a lot of the comments that, oh, you only live once. What's the point of money if you don't enjoy it? People don't understand that if you ever really want to have enough money or like real money, you gotta delay the gratification of all these toys. So yeah, I mean, Michael Deser could have when the bill. A better example, Jeff Bezos could have sold off a little bit of Amazon, and guess what? He wouldn't be the richest man on earth today.
Correct.
But he didn't sell anything. Elon Musk the same. Now you don't need to be the richest man on earth, but you're never even going to get there if you keep trying to flip. Which is why I debate with people when they say they flip houses or condos. You're not in the real estate business. You're a trader.
You're a trader.
You're not a Warren Buffett who's an investor. You're flipping for profit. And then you get a nice score. Maybe you get 100 grand. Maybe you get $1 million, whatever you get.
Right.
But now you got a clump of money in your hand. You're going to give a big chunk to the IRS. And then you feel rich. Now you want to go buy yourself a fancy car. Now you're going to $1,000 dinners. Now you need a watch and a suit. And the money dilutes.
Worse
The
than
guys-
that, your overhead starts to go.
That's right.
You move to a better neighborhood,
That's right.
right? It's just you're a
Can't
hamster
unwind
on a
it.
wheel.
And you can't unwind it. You can't stop it. It's like it's fuel. You
cannot
just
unwind
need
it.
more of it.
Correct.
Yeah.
And then you're working to satisfy your lifestyle, and you wonder why you're unhappy.
That's right.
You live in a great neighborhood with great things, and you're miserable.
And it's not enough. And it's just not enough.
It's
You need
never
more.
enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. More is my drug of
That's right.
choice. Yeah, I get that. So it's fascinating. You have such a great perspective, Todd. I want you to know that it's really a privilege to be with you today like this. I hope you people are listening.
That's right.
This man is full of wisdom, and we're gonna unpack this. So I saw something today, which funny enough, I saw on social media, and I intuitively believed it to be true, but I wonder what your take is. It started out that Florida's in trouble, and they talked about Miami particularly being the most overpriced, overdeveloped city anywhere on planet Earth. And they started to name the other 8 or 9 of the top 10, but they had me at Miami.
That's right.
Because my plans for the future include Miami. And I was riveted as to that claim because, if you talk to people in Miami, they believe that it can never go down. Impossible. I have friends that are buying properties today at ridiculous prices. I mean, just ridiculous. I mean, almost laughable. And they're convinced it's even going to go higher. And I understand that there's only so much property, and it is Miami, and the weather, and the beaches, and the lifestyle. And you have the financial world moving down here, and the sports world, and entertainment world. However,
That's right.
I'm a market guy, and markets will be markets. There's a, what is your thought on the real estate market today,
You know,
specifically in Miami, as it
I
reflects?
would only speak of even the South Florida market because
Yeah,
that's my
in
market.
general, right?
You're 100% right. It's overvalued. A lot of people did move here when COVID hit, and a lot of very rich people moved here, which is what drove prices astronomical.
Crazy.
But these people didn't move because they wanted to. It wasn't like my parents. They moved because they didn't want to be locked up in New York and told they couldn't leave their apartments for a year. So they
Chicago.
moved here. Work at home was really a thing, which is no longer a thing anymore. All the big companies are changing that.
It's all changing.
So they didn't come here for that reason. So a lot of them are leaving. But all the money came here. And they opened up every restaurant, every store, and every boutique, and prices skyrocketed. And you know how it is. It's the same. We can go back to the tulips of the 1800s. It's that myth that
Correct.
someone's going to make more money and you're going to keep going up. And as long as we live, you'll see another cycle. Do I think that there's way too many condos? For sure. Do I think the homes on these super fancy blocks should be selling at these prices? No. But there's a lot of money coming here. There's certain assets that are protected better than others, but I don't think the condo market is really a great place to be. I really don't. I think that, we say we'll run out of land. Not so fast because we're not that short of land.
Right.
When you're knocking down an 8-story building, or even better yet, in sunny hours, you're knocking down a 2-story motel and you're building what the building I live in is 60 stories.
Yeah.
So you're not running out of land so quick. But what's happening is the world is becoming more accessible. So when we were kids, coming to Miami Beach was everything. I never got to come. Only the rich kids got to
Right.
come. But I knew if you went to Miami, you were lucky. Now people are going to Europe. They're going to Dubai. They're going all over the world.
Mauritius. There's a
So,
million places.
Yeah, you don't just have to come to Miami anymore. So I don't know how well these prices will hold up, but I know for sure they will dip. Will they crash? I don't know if they'll crash, but they'll certainly dip.
Part of this thing, they were talking, there's 52,000 homes/apartments on the markets right now in
Yeah.
inventory. That the inventory is at highest levels in history.
Yeah.
And so something's got to give, yeah.
Something's got to give, and it's always the price.
Yeah.
And people don't realize it because they have a very short memory.
Right.
And it doesn't affect you if you live in your house and they build a new hotel and the hotel goes bankrupt. It's still going to be a hotel, but someone's going to lose a lot of money, but it's going to stay open. It's going to be a hotel. I don't think you're going to see vacancies all over the place, but there'll be a lot of money lost.
So you think there will be money lost. I agree with
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I think far too many people got into multifamily and they just believe that rents only go one direction. And I've heard that story just like you, that it's so cheap. And they say, if you compare Miami to New York or you compare it to Hong Kong, but it's not, it's Miami.
Right.
And we don't have the technology here. Miami's got great people, but we're a vacation hub. We're an entertainment hub. So we're restaurants, we're nightlife, we're at beaches. You can't compare us to, San Fran technology or Manhattan's Wall Street. So we can't pay those kinds of prices. We just simply can't.
It's gonna turn, I think.
Yeah.
And I think there's gonna be a great opportunity though.
Yeah.
See, to me, where there's violence, there's opportunity.
Yep.
I think there's gonna be a violent event. I don't know what it's gonna be, but it's gonna be triggered by something in the stock market.
Well,
Could be a war. could
every
be
10
an
years,
event.
there's something, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
And then it trickles down in a sense. Everybody's sitting there with their $2.5 million in their 401ks. All of a sudden, it's 700,000, and they're scared. And that sort of thing. And, when it's bad, it's bad. You think it's also never going to end.
That's right.
It's hard to see a bottom in a bear market.
That's right.
It just every day you wake up, it's a little bit more painful. But for a guy like you, where you're at in life right now, I mean, you got to be ready for this kind of thing, right?
I love history. And I always hated history as a kid, which is funny because I always said, who cares? It already happened. But history doesn't necessarily repeat itself. Events do.
Events.
So it's like I said earlier, every 10 years, there's something, a savings and loans crisis, a 9/11, a COVID. There's always going to be something to shock a market.
War, an
And
event.
whatever you shock a market in one direction, there's going to be an alter effect the other way. So something's going to happen. My timeline when I invest in properties is forever. I'm buying properties that I view as generational that I plan to give to my kids. So I'm not worried about what's going to happen in 5 or 10 years.
Well, that's who you are today.
Right.
Let's spin the clock back. I want to go back to younger Todd. You're looking for that second property. You got the warehouse.
That's right.
You're psyched. You got your book of business. You're a registered broker. Tell us about your next purchase.
The next purchase was a little smaller. I bought it for 475. It was for 500,000. I went to a real estate office. They showed me flyers. I bought it. I remember the guy's name, a wonderful guy. His name was George Zartolis. He was out of Connecticut.
George, shout out.
I hope he's still around, George. But he owned the property for many years. I bought it.
Now, what was it? What kind of property?
This was a used car lot with a warehouse next to it, and it was the wrong configuration. So I went to the city. It was the city of Miramar, and I pitched them to let me renovate the property, beautify it, but put the car lot where that should have been, and the auto accessories and everything on the other lot, which was going to give the cars, instead of being a 10-car lot, it was going to let me have like 70 cars.
Wow.
And instead of having a big parking lot for an auto repair place, put them there and make it proper. And they agreed if I remodeled the property, and I bought it for 475. Same thing. George gave me financing with $100,000 down. I would send him the check every month.
What do you mean he gave you the finance? Explain that to the audience.
He gave me the finance, the debt on the property. He owned it with no mortgage.
Right.
So I gave him $100,000. He sells me the property, and
carried
he
the
held
paper.
the loan.
He carried
He's the
the
bank.
paper, right.
And he was $375,000 loan, and I would send him a check every month like clockwork. And he was a great guy. And actually, his brother was in the same business. They owned properties down here. But it was the same thing. I never intended to sell it. And the way I was told it, and brokers were making fun of me, I put $100,000 down.
That's a lot of money for this guy.
Which is a lot of money. And after I paid all the bills and I collected the rents myself and did everything myself, I was making like $600 a month.
Hold on. So you have this now, this lot in this warehouse,
Mm-hmm.
right? And you had now gone to the city. They agreed to what? Give you a break?
They don't give me any break. They're going to give me a grant to remodel it and fix it up. They're going to allow me.
Upfront?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I would submit. Back then, they would go 50-50 with you along the way. We weren't doing a lot of work, just a little facelift work, changing the doors.
How
making
much is that?
I think the whole thing was like $120,000
That's
back
still
then.
money
No,
back
you're
then.
going back to 2000 now.
I mean, you
so
only put down $100,000, now you get a
Right.
$120,000 bill to remodel.
that's right. So we're going to remodel the front.
So they're giving you $60,000 up
They're going to
front.
give me 60 grand. We're going to reposition it so now I get more money out of the car lot, because now it's a really proper car lot, because car lot needs space.
Was it open? Was it a business?
It was an opening business, but I moved people around. The tenants
But
were,
it was an existing business.
there was businesses there that when I bought it, it was fully rented.
Oh, I didn't know that.
But it was
Okay.
just wrong. And the guy who owned it was in Connecticut, so he really didn't care. He owned
Right.
it forever. He owned it for like 25 years, so he was happy with the rents. But I saw a better use for it if you
course.
move things around, and I changed the rent. The tenant, one of them, actually went to the city when I was trying to get the grant, and he complained to the city that I shouldn't be allowed to do this.
Right.
And I never forget, the guy's name was Fitzroy Salesman. He said to him, "Sir, in every redevelopment, there's a casualty. I think you may be one." And they gave me the green light, and they let me redevelop the property.
How long does something like that take?
Well, from start of the
Yeah.
grant process, about 6 months to get the grant and approval, then permits and everything. Nowadays, it could take longer because the permitting process is torture. That's the hardest thing we have going for us in
I can
Florida.
imagine.
But back then, it was pretty easy stuff.
And getting a crew to go to work in Florida is very easy, right?
Back then, it was
Through the
super easy.
remodeling,
Yeah,
super
very easy.
Yeah, it's easy.
And again, though, I had no intention of selling that property. I just wanted to do the same thing: get a new loan, get my money back out, pay off the original seller, and move on to the next one. And that's what I did.
You did the same thing.
I did the same thing, and then I went into retail, and that's when I bought my first retail
But hold on,
center.
you kept the lot. And
Kept 1 and 2. Now I moved into 3.
So 1 and 2 you keep. You've got your money out.
Mhm.
You're friggin'. You feel like you came up with some sort of magic formula,
That's right.
And that's commercial real estate.
That's and I'm loving it.
This is your magic formula right from the get go, right? Right off the rip. You got the warehouse, and now you got a car lot with a warehouse.
Nothing sexy, but all moneymakers.
That's all that matters.
That's
man.
right. That's what
To me,
people don't
that's
say.
sexy.
That's way sexier than meeting in Starbucks.
I'm telling you.
Yeah,
I've had a lot of sexy investments where I made no money.
that's right.
So this is a great thing. So now let's talk about number 3. You're still a stockbroker.
Still a stockbroker.
And are you disclosing this on your E4 as outside business activities?
To the brokerage, I did have to disclose everything I did, and they were okay with it as long as I
I'm
wasn't
just playing,
brokering the
right.
deal.
I'm
Yes,
just playing.
but I had to tell them that actually. And what they didn't like about it,
Right.
and this is the same thing, like you said, you got to work for yourself. Because I never forget the manager. I won't say his name because he's a great guy, but I don't want to say his name because he is still around. I know him.
Okay.
They were against this because they knew what was happening. I was not desperate to be a broker anymore
Right.
because I was making money elsewhere.
Right.
And the worst thing for them is other brokers were going to see this. So they were not happy I was doing
I
this.
understand
They didn't
that.
really have a way to stop it, but they did not support me getting financial
I
freedom.
get it. 100%.
That's
I
right.
get that. And also you're making deals with either banks or
Right.
individuals where there are securities involved.
That's right.
So when you get that loan, this guy's carrying the paper. That's a securities transaction.
That's right.
And you're doing a deal away, so to speak.
Yep.
Let's talk about deal number 3. I'm excited now.
Deal number three was actually a great one. I kept on what I would do back then. And again, there was no Instagrams and social medias, or, even the internet was very, very new at that point.
Right.
So properties weren't available like that. We didn't have Google Earth to search. So I would drive around and I found a property in the same area, and it was a little 10-unit strip center. And it was just like I
In
liked.
Miramar? In
This was
area?
up in Plantation, about
Okay.
6, 7 miles north. And the building was nice. The color was ugly, but it was 10 little stores of 700 square feet each.
Wow.
But it had 3 vacancies with the
little strip mall.
little for rent signs like you get in Home Depot.
Right.
And I said, let's call. So I called and asked about it for rent, and a woman answered the phone. And I pitched it at, actually, I'm more interested in buying it. She wasn't really interested in selling it, but I kept in touch. And this woman was a fantastic woman out of Miami Beach. I remember her name. She's fantastic. I hope she's still around. Mona Kirby. Mona Kirby. Miami
Mona, what's up, baby?
Actually, if she's still around, she's probably very, very rich. But Mona was fantastic. She called me on a Thanksgiving day in the morning, and she says, "Sweetheart, you still want to buy my property?" And I said, "I do." She said, $100 a square foot. Don't even try and negotiate. You got to close in 60 days. Deal? I said, "You got a deal." And
Really?
it wasn't a great price. Back then, it was an
That's
okay
a lot
price.
of money back then.
It was, but it was a great center. The reason Mona wanted to sell it, she was a very, very wealthy woman, and she lived in Miami Beach. She was so wealthy, a side note, she bought the house next to hers because she didn't like her neighbor, and she used it as an art gallery for herself. When you're talking about in Miami Beach on the Venetian, she had houses.
Wow,
That
love
kind
that.
of money.
Okay.
Nicest woman sells me the property. Not a great deal, but I buy the property. Funny story too. We get to the closing, and the lawyer says to her, "We need ID to prove who you are," because back then they actually give you a check at closing. There's no wiring of money.
Right.
She goes, "Well, I don't have an ID." He goes, "Well, how'd you get here?" She goes, "I drove." And he said, "You don't have a driver's license?" "No, I don't." "Well, we need something." He goes, "Here, how about my concealed weapons permit?" This was like a 75-year-old woman with concealed weapons
And no
permit
driver's
and a gun and no driver's license. But she sold me the
What a
property.
woman.
And again, it wasn't a home run of a deal, but I bought that property for $660,000 at 6,600 square feet. I wouldn't sell for $2.5 million today.
10 stores.
10 little stores, 680,
You
660.
still own it?
I still own it.
You
The
own
only,
all
thing
of
I've had,
them?
the only thing I had to do is put a coat of paint on it, and I changed the roof, and it's the same exact building, same parking lot, same everything.
And you have 10 different stores, though.
One tenant actually has 3 locations, but other than that, they're all individuals. And still, but it is 10 individual stores, 10 individual meters. It's the greatest kind of rental you could have.
Yeah.
And I figured out if I just had 50% occupancy, I could pay my bills. Very little risk. And that's when I started going into the retail world.
I got you.
Yeah.
So you're paying the mortgage. You don't have to worry about it at 50% occupancy.
That's right.
In the meantime, the equity underlying is growing.
And every month you're paying off a mortgage. Rents should be going up a little bit. You're increasing it a little bit.
Over time.
So you're collecting cash flow. Rents are going up. You're paying down a loan. You have depreciation against my stockbroker income.
Right.
It's a win-win-win.
What about, expenses? What about expenses? Banged out by electric and hurricanes.
You don't pay,
there's a
the
lot of
house meter is
things.
pretty cheap. Insurance has gone up before. We're in a cycle now where it's starting to come
Well,
back down,
sure
but
is
it's
in Florida.
skyrocketed.
This is a whole nother story.
But we've had that before. We've had that other years. We
Now
had a
there's
couple of storms. It goes up, it goes down.
Big
So
problems now.
you do get hit. You definitely get hit.
Those one-off type things, right?
Yeah. Again, same thing. You don't know where it's coming from.
The act of God
You just
stuff.
don't know where it's
Yeah,
coming
yeah,
from.
Yeah.
Just like I didn't know that COVID was going to hit. My debt was going to go from 6% to 3%. I mean, that was a win.
That was a huge
So,
win.
I mean, it was a horrible situation, but you
Right.
get wins that way too. You just don't really know where it's
And
coming.
then people are locked down, so no one's going to your stores.
That's right.
Did you let people off of the rents? I mean, we had a,
Absolutely not. Florida reopened in like 14 minutes. We were right
Right,
back to
right,
business.
right.
My office never closed. I mean, we were always open, and we
Really?
got very lucky. And regardless of what you think about politics, it turned out to be the right thing
well,
to
the
do.
state of Florida, brilliant.
We were open, up and running, and I didn't go after tenants who didn't pay. But then the U.S. government came in and gave them all this COVID relief money
They hooked
to
people
pay
up, so
back rents.
they
The
hooked
cities
people up.
all did that, so I got all my money. I was okay.
So now you own 3 properties, correct?
That's right.
The warehouse, the auto parts lot and store warehouse, and you have the little strip mall. And you're maintaining your life. You're still single?
Yes.
So now you're hot stuff. You're a real bachelor. You're a big ball stockbroker with no stress, really, because you don't need to force anything.
But I'm not the stockbroker anymore. Now is when the stockbroker business is making me no money.
You said
So I have a
forget it.
lot of friends. We're having a good time, but the guys that were making $400,000 or $500,000 a year are now struggling to make 120.
Crazy,
So
right?
it's not as much fun dialing like that all day long.
course not.
And now you can't convince people to buy stocks because the euphoria is over. And back then, in 97, 98, whatever stock you bought, even if it went down, it went up the next day.
Exactly. You were doing
That's
well.
not happening. Now you're just losing money because everything is going down and you're beaten up and you're done. I'm spent and I quit.
Everything went to shit.
That's right. And I had enough. So that's when I went into the real estate world
What year
full-time.
was that now?
That was probably
2?
01. It was right around September 11th. Yeah.
Oh boy.
Maybe it was right around
That's
then.
another thing that crushed the market,
That's
right?
right,
As soon as
yeah.
this thing started to uptick a little bit in 9/11,
That's right.
those are the best times of my life.
Yeah.
Because I was sitting flush.
That's right.
I learned from 87. I'm sitting nothing but cash and
Got to be
clients.
ready to take advantage of the
I
opportunity.
did. So I went
That's right.
public. Took myself public on London Stock Exchange. So I was like, everybody was laughing at me, like, you can't do that.
Yep.
The stock exchange even admitted to me that they never would have let me, but they thought no one thought I would actually do it, and I did it.
And
I
that's the best
printed
way.
a deal of 40%. All right, so now you say that's it, sayonara. Now you're dedicated fully to this little side hustle.
That's right.
Between the 3 properties, you're making monthly income, right? 10, 15,000 a month. Is that maybe less?
I mean, I remember it's got to be well over 10,000 a month in
All right.
cash flow.
Which is enough to live.
Oh, yeah,
right?
more than enough.
Especially if you're single and in Florida.
Yeah.
You don't even need clothes in Florida,
That's
really.
right.
And what's happening now? Now, how do you?
Now I'm retired. I'm a hot shot.
But how does your head change? I mean, now how do you turn this side hustle into a full-time business? You know what I mean? Still getting up in the morning?
Still get up in the morning, but instead of putting on a suit and tie, because we have to wear that every single day,
Yes, of course.
you're going to your property. So now I wake up, I do some stuff around my house. I go to a property. I go see some people. I'm buying more properties. I'll talk to tenants. I'll do leases, whatever I have to do.
Right.
I'm managing, leasing, doing everything all on my own. I
Soup
hired
to
someone
nuts.
to help me, but once I started on my own, I got rid of them. So I'm doing it all. I'm my own company and I'm managing the properties, but I'm also living off the cash flow. But business is good and I'm buying more and more and more.
Keep on finding properties.
It was not so hard to find properties.
Then.
Yeah. It's gotten a lot harder, but that was the cycle back then. You just came off of the savings and loans crisis when nobody wanted to own a property. And I was never afraid of, I used to tell people this today too. I'm never trying to get a deal on a property. I'm trying to get a good property that's got a future. So if you're trying to get a great deal,
Good
that's
luck.
probably not going to happen. I think one of the greatest deals I ever got, lucky, was my first property, but that was a lot of luck. Nobody wanted a property then.
Right.
When I'm buying properties today, they're not great
Why
deals.
was that a great deal?
Because the guy who bought the land and built it, he got a $1.2 million loan from this bank and he lost it. So I knew going in, paying $575, I was getting the land free and 50% of the replacement cost of the building. And it's built and it has tenants. And it turned out to be a home run. I bought it for $575. My annual rent rolls more than $575 now. So
You still have it.
Still have it. Don't sell it. Now I can't sell it because I tell everybody that story. But still have
What's
them.
it worth today?
I wouldn't sell it because it is
No,
kind
of
of like a
course,
baby. I mean, there's always a number, but it's probably worth north of $5 million.
Can you imagine?
Yeah.
How crazy.
Yeah.
Maybe you should consider it. This might be a top of the market
You know-
moment.
you know
I just
that-
want to.
I agree.
I want to say something. Okay, this
Mhm.
is going to be a moment in this podcast
Mhm.
that one day I might have to call you up and say, Todd, bro, remember that conversation we had? I want to play the podcast. It's at 56 minutes into the podcast. 5 million. Now it's back down to 2. You just don't know. That's the crazy thing about the game
You
of
just
life.
don't know. And at my stage in life, I just don't care about that anymore.
Right.
I wouldn't keep it if I was in risk or had too much debt. Yeah, there
Right.
comes a point. But for me at this point, it's a redevelopment play. One day I'll knock this down and build a building there or sell it off to
I
a
was going to
developer.
say it's good property now.
But you're 100% right. And the beauty of real estate versus saying a stock market is that now if you trade stocks, I have friends who are on things like Reddit, not Reddit, whatever that app is, the way everyone's trading, Robinhood. And every 3 seconds, they're looking to see what their net worth is.
Right.
I don't have a damn clue. And I laugh because people come to me with
Right.
these interviews like, how much did you make in a year? I don't know. What's your net worth? I don't know. It's real estate. It's maybe the property's worth $1.5 million, but if the guy next door wants it, it's worth $2 million. I don't really know. I'm not looking at it on that basis.
Right.
So for it to go to 5 million to 2 million, something really horrible happened in the
Yeah,
world.
it's
And we all
yeah.
got really, but it's very likely it could go from 5 million to 4, but it's not going to affect me either because I'm
Right.
still not selling it. So I have the ability to have longevity. and I'm not worried about the day to day. But you're spot on right. There's been a million times I could have sold, but I wish I would have bought every single property I hadn't because they've all gone up over time.
Right, right, right. Over time.
Yeah,
And you said it in the beginning. You said there's always a number.
that's
You
right.
said it in the beginning.
There's always a number you will
Qualified
sell.
your
Yes.
answer,
Yep.
and I get that, and that's a really honest answer.
Yeah.
You know, some guys are just not honest.
There's always a magic number. You'll sell everything. I mean,
Listen,
it is what it is.
obviously. So you have a nice portfolio today. We're at 4 now, but I mean, let's give us one more. Give us a great one. You have a best, and
You
a
know
worst.
what? I have a best lesson.
Let's
There
hear
was a
that.
property I was going to buy, and same thing, a broker. This is going back many years ago, and it was an enterprise rent-a-car car lot. And the property was for sale, and the woman lived in Israel, and she wanted to sell it. She wanted $250,000, and back then, a lot of people did seller financing. And she said, "I'll finance it with 10% down." So I offered her 200. We agreed at 225. I was going to put $25,000 down. That's it. I wasn't going to make a fortune, but I wanted this great corner property with enterprise as a tenant, 25
Right.
grand, set it, forget it. She came back when I did the contract and we had agreed to 225, crossed it out and put 235. And I got to put, instead of putting down
Trailing.
$26,000 down. And I said, no deal. And the broker was telling me, it's just another 1,000. I said, no, it's the point. I said, we agreed at 225. And he said, yeah, but she didn't sign the contract. You got to buy this property for 235. She's seller financing it. And I didn't buy it because I was so stupid. And I said, nope, not going to buy it
Stubborn.
over $1,000, which I could spend it on dinner now.
Right.
That property's probably worth $2 million today. So $1,000 cost me a fortune. And I learned a good lesson there, even after it sold to someone else immediately. Don't get so caught up in stupidity. If people want to change deals, if the deal still makes sense, do the deal.
Right.
Same thing with selling. I've sold a lot of properties. I haven't necessarily put them for sale, but I'll sell them if somebody has to have my properties. But you gotta be able to roll with the punches and keep moving forward.
That's a good life lesson. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? We as men sometimes we get caught up in our egos and our feelings, and I'm guilty of the same thing.
That's right. We get
On
hard-headed.
principle,
That's right.
I'm not doing it.
Yeah, I'll show you how I won't make $2 million.
Exactly right. I've been there. Trust me when I tell you. And I appreciate you sharing that story.
Yeah.
That's a great story. What's the best real estate deal you did?
There's so many great stories, and you think of your real estate like your kids. You really do, even though it's business. Everyone has a different story.
Well, not everybody does, but you do.
But
And that's why we're here today. Because
That's right.
You're an amazing guy with amazing career in real estate. We want to hear.
Well, the best story I'll give you of recent
Yep.
was in January of 2020. I got a big deal for me under contract. I was buying a shopping center. It was 143,000 square feet for $12,750,000. I get the contract in January. And the only way I get the contract is I agree with the seller that I'm going to go hard on a $300,000 deposit, meaning it's non-refundable unless he can't deliver title, clean, and environmental problems. Other than that, I'm going to lose my 300 grand. I put up the money, and 8 weeks later, we're in COVID. And I'm thinking I'm going to lose my money.
Oh,
and I got to struggle to get this deal done. Everyone thinks I'm crazy. You can't do this. So I bought this property. The seller agreed to extend because he couldn't close either. Banks weren't, he couldn't get lawyers to work, nothing was happening. Luckily, he agreed. We bought the property in August instead of in March like we were supposed to. We bought it in August. The seller, because he really wanted to sell too, took $200,000 off the purchase price. We got the property. We closed it through the hardest time. My banker, who I have a great relationship, they tried to back out after I had a term sheet and a commitment letter.
I bet.
They were like, we're not closing. I said, we're suing. I said, I don't sue, but I'm not losing my deposit. I said, the property is a great property. And I had to convince them and resell it and reconvince them and go back and forth. And they agreed, it's a great deal, but we don't know what's going to happen with COVID.
That's the problem. Nobody knows. Uncertainty.
We finally got the property. We own the property. I have an interest rate, which is about to expire because it's about to have its 5th birthday.
2%.
3.75% interest. That property, we bought it for $12,550,000. It's
15.
worth over $30 million.
Over 30, you
Over
see?
$30 million.
What?
But nobody wanted to go near it.
Well, listen, what could be worse than a shopping center when they're telling you everybody's locked down?
That's right.
You can't go to the last place anyone wants to go is the mall. I
Well,
mean,
you know better than anyone because you know the markets. The markets don't like uncertainty. They
terrible.
just want, even if they don't care if you can't make
Good
a lot
news,
more.
bad news doesn't matter.
Yeah,
You
just
can
give me
make a
certainty.
deal.
Yeah.
But we need to know which one it is.
That's right.
But uncertainty, everybody's panicked. Everybody's frozen in place.
But you get deals like that and they're game changers.
Yeah.
Because you
question.
hit it. You don't have to hit a lot of those. That I would consider a triple or a home run, but you just have to hit a lot of singles and a few of
Well,
those.
you
And you'll have a
could
great
very easily
career.
have lost your your deposit. And
Could have.
I would have probably taken odds you were going to lose your deposit.
You know, I had to find a way to get this closed. I was talking to hard equity lenders. I was
Oh,
talking
you're an
because
animal,
I
yeah.
knew the deal was great. And I would even tell the people, I said, if this goes down in price, because I knew I had a good deal, I said, if this gets worse, everybody's screwed. So who cares at that point?
Right,
We're
right.
all going down in flames, but it's not. At that point, things were starting to reopen. There was a vaccine on the horizon, but I knew it was good real estate. But you
You
had to
know
have
real
the
estate.
you had to have the guts to buy it. And nobody, let me tell you, I had a lot of very experienced people telling me, you don't want to buy anymore. And I'm like, well, I already own so much. I'm already in the game.
Right.
So
You know, COVID was really a different time
yeah.
in this country. I mean, we never had anything like this.
No.
You know, there was, one thing a correction, one thing is a crash. I mean, we've seen all that kind. We've seen wars. You know, we've seen all kinds of nonsense. But this was a pandemic.
Yeah.
The fuck does that mean?
Yeah.
You know, I'll never forget. I mean, the first time I heard that word, what does that mean?
Yeah.
And everybody's going to Google.
And everybody's watching the news 24
Right,
hours a day. It was
24
crazy.
hours a day. It was just frightening, and nobody knew what the hell, which way to go, left, right, center. So now you've come out of COVID, and it's not that long ago. I mean, it's a few years now.
Yeah.
The real estate market has just gone. It's buoyant, right? It's especially you're mostly in South Florida, or you in other parts of the country.
Only in South Florida.
So you stayed with what you know. Very smart, right? A lot of guys get ambitious and they start taking shots.
You get too
and
smart.
risks, and they get big balls and their ego, and they get pitched, and they say, all right, what the hell? It's only $1 million. It's only this. And next thing you know, you start doing things away from your area of expertise. Not you.
I stay in my lane. I have a lot of friends who've made a lot of money. They all want to invest in restaurants. They want to get into nightclubs. I just do what I do. I love what I do. I'm not looking to be entrepreneurial and start 17 different businesses. I just want to keep doing what I'm doing and growing from that. More real estate. That's it.
Do you you don't own any real estate that houses, let's say, restaurants
Oh,
and
yeah, I do,
nightclubs
but I
and all
don't own
that?
the restaurants. I won't
Right.
invest in the business.
Understood.
I just want to own the
You
property.
collect the rent.
Yeah, I'm just a landlord.
You're a landlord.
Yep.
And you like that lifestyle.
I love it.
How many properties would you say you own today?
On 65 properties.
65.
Yeah.
Pretty cool, huh?
You know,
Boy from Staten Island.
it's just a number. And what happens is I had some great mentors, and I still have some great mentors in real estate. And these guys are far bigger than me. And they'll all tell you the same thing. You get to a point where it's not that it's necessarily just a game, because it is real life,
It is a game.
but it's fun. And you
Right.
know you don't have to do another deal. And when you're in that position, you have that luxury. That's one of the greatest gifts. You could walk away from any deal. It's not like when you're first starting, you got to hit a few deals
Right,
to get
right,
going.
right,
You got a
right.
lot more pressure. So it's a lot more fun. And that's why I do the social media and do these podcasts, because now it's more fun to me. I got a 19-year-old kid who just turned 19, who's a broker for me now working, and he's hustling, and I see his future. It's more exciting to see that. I have twins that are 17 years old that are in high school that are coming to me to learn how to buy real estate. So it's exciting to teach the next generation, and they're not my competition. Let them go be great. I mean, I'm a lot older than these people, but I love to see them. And the return to me is it puts a new battery in my pack, because you
Correct.
remember these people are killing to be where you are, and you already did it. So it motivates me a lot. So I love to teach them.
I understand that.
Yeah.
I'm an educator myself today.
That's right. I know.
And I get a lot of there's a word in Yiddish, nachas,
Yep.
like inside pleasure. Before you came in, there was a bunch of young men that my team, let's call them, as we build out a media company. And the podcast is sort of like an element to it.
That's right.
Other segments as well, but and just sitting here watching their faces as I tell them the plan and I walk them through the proposition we're creating and things of that nature. It's just so I get a kick out of it. It's just very
It's
rewarding,
Rewarding.
and it gives me a really, really good feeling that I've done something with my life that's worthwhile. Like I've achieved something
That's right.
worthwhile and notable. And like when I do the podcast and stuff, and people hit me up and say, I've been following you for these many years, and you have a great story, and I really appreciate when you share this and that. And I can't explain the good feeling that I get. Sharing something with another human being. I think there's an innate blessing that comes down from somewhere. And we get to experience that feeling because, if you really believe in higher power, God, religion, spirituality, you understand this is all some sort of experiment in his love, right? If he's created us and all these different things, and but the fact that I gives me the ability to appreciate some of the things that I've been through in my life, good, bad, and ugly,
That's right.
um, as seen through the eyes of another person,
Yeah.
gives me a good feeling that I've done something uh, right in my life. We've been, not every deal was easy. Like you just shared this deal was, I'm sure there were times you were pulling your hair out and
Oh
saying,
yeah.
what the fuck? What the
You
fuck?
lose a lot of sleep.
Yeah, yeah.
Even when the deals work.
Right. Even when deals work.
There's
Right.
so many barriers to get there. And that's part of the reason I wanted to come here with you because I've done a lot of podcasts. We meet a lot of people, and social media is a big effect, especially on the younger kids. And everybody's got this perfect little story and a perfect little package and that perfect little rental Lamborghini that they're perfect. And nobody wants to talk about the shit.
The pain.
They don't want to talk about the
Right.
fact that, man, you're going to get knocked down. You're going to have setbacks.
Right.
Where are you going to be? Are you going to just lay it down and play dead? Or are you
Right.
just going to keep chugging forward? And you're very vocal and open about your story and all the things you've overcome.
Yes.
And look where you are now. Like you said, you're teaching people to tell them, this is what I did right. This is what I did wrong. The wrong got me here. The right got me here. So don't do that. Do this because this is what I've learned. And hopefully they're going to learn from your mistakes and go the right way. That's why this is very valuable.
I find that people appreciate the authenticity.
That's right. They do.
I'm not looking to hide pain. I'm not looking to hide the ugly.
Yep.
Some guys are like, I can't believe, bro. I can't believe, you said this, you said that. I said, listen, the greatest thing about me when I appear on someone else's podcast, I just have to talk about me.
Yeah.
I just have to answer questions. I could be, half dead. Maybe didn't sleep at
Sure
night.
life.
I got the flu. It's my story.
That's right.
I'm going to tell you my story. It's my truth. And that's the story. And unfortunately for me, and some elements unfortunate is that my whole life has been documented in the Wall Street Journal, by the United States government, by Forbes magazine, on TV, and American Greed, on Jesse Ventura, all these different things is like literally like I'm a living documentary. But because of what I've been through and what I'm doing now, I get to meet a guy like yourself. And when we exchange DMs, Stephanie is in
Yeah.
Vegas, and I didn't have your phone number, and I just wanted to confirm. And I said, the great thing about Instagram and all these
Yeah.
different things, there are ways to contact people
Yes.
today. Heretofore, good luck. You're spitting in the wind, right? So I said, I'm going to just send him a DM. And you were like, I'm looking forward to seeing you.
Yeah.
And I made me feel good because we don't know each other, right? And we probably didn't know of each other until we got to mutually check each other out
Right.
in an open and odd way. And we're both excited to meet each other because we're two stories of real life,
That's right.
of success, of struggle, of ambition. And one of the things I love the most about your story today, that as we're sitting here, is that you just fucking put your money down, and the deal was 600,000, so you gave 575, and you just bought this fucking warehouse.
Mhm.
And you did some evaluation, but it wasn't exactly like I call back of the envelope stuff.
That's right. That's what it was. You know what's crazy? I still have it to this day. It was like a yellow pad, and I had the pages of my little plan of what I'm going to do. I'm going to buy it. I need this much money. I'm guessing
Right.
this. I got to get a waste contract. It was just that simple.
Those
And
closing costs get you.
the closing costs were very
I
uncertain to me
bought my
because
first real
I had
estate.
never
I was
done.
like, what does this mean?
Yeah.
You said it was X, and
Yeah.
it's another $8,000.
And I was like, wait, what are these? What's a
What
doc
is all-
stamp? Who's the doc?
Exactly. What the hell is all this shit?
Yeah, and then you get the credit because then there's security
And I got
deposits, the
tips,
tenants
the
get
title
you.
searcher.
Yeah.
I mean, what is this?
But you learn that stuff quick. But far too many people overcomplicate things and don't realize what it takes. It takes a guy like you or a guy like me that just says, I'm never going to stop. I'm just going to find a way to get it done. I didn't have to go to Harvard. I didn't have to be raised by brilliant people.
Definitely not.
I didn't get a brilliant IQ. I'm just relentless.
I love it. And, I hope that people listening are going to understand that, you just had this vision, and you just said, fuck it. And you put down your money and you said, I'm going to take a shot. That's what it is. I'm going to take a shot.
That's right.
This is life. You're going to take a shot, or I can tell you one thing: when you're home sitting on your couch, nothing happens.
That's right.
You got to get out there and make some shit happen, and taking a shot is part of it. I love that. So now, you mentioned earlier that you've accumulated a lot of properties for yourself. You have a business today, right? Your partners?
No.
No partners.
Do it on my own.
What?
Well, let me rephrase that. My whole team is my partners
No,
because
of course.
without them, I can't do anything, but they do everything.
Essentially, it's
Yeah.
your company.
Yeah, it's my
It's
company.
your business, and you have a great team around you.
An
You build.
amazing team. I'm so lucky that I love to go to work because I have the greatest people working with me every day, and these people are amazing. And I wish I hired people sooner because
Right.
these people will elevate your game,
They add
and
value.
they really do. And
Good
you're always
people add
you're
value.
scared to hire people because you're now responsible for them. But the sooner you learn to hire people, the better life is going to get because I'm here with you right now. They're running the company. They're doing it. You know what? If I go out, they probably love when I go out of town for a couple of days. They love it. They get a
Love
break.
it.
But all I got to do is give them the tools to thrive, and they're way on their way. And I love it.
That's what it's all about,
Yep.
bro. It's about having a team. You're witnessing my team. You met some of these guys
That's
today.
right. Yep.
They allow me to do what I do, and I'm so grateful for that. Now, when 0809 comes, this is a real estate crisis. The egg cracks, the proverbial
Yep.
egg cracks. All these bullshit products that Wall Streeters like me was selling and buying, selling, trading, etc. I was out of that game. I realized that there was something very wrong, and I think they punished me for that. But you were managing your own properties, right?
Right.
This crew you've put together, this team. Talk about that now. Talk about what it involved, not just owning properties and buying them. Someone's going to manage them, right?
So I was still doing a lot of the work at a very small team. But the big mistake I was making back then is I was living off the profits. So that's how I lived. And now, by then, now I have 2 kids. I have a wife. I got the beautiful house. I bought my second home. I had the third car. I had all these toys, but it came from the properties. And I was also blinded to the fact that things go down. So when the market cracked, my properties didn't get in trouble, but the tenant who was paying me 3,000 could only
Right.
give me 2, and the
Right.
one who would give me 2 could only give me 1,400, which meant I was evaporating my savings. And that's when I really started to grow my third party business and bring on a lot of third party management leasing accounts because then people really needed help. So it pivoted, but a very good lesson out of that too, which I'm very open to share with people, is that's when your partner is everything. When my dad had a crisis, my mom stepped up to the plate and did what it
Correct.
took. I had a wife at the time, my first wife, and we are divorced because she told me when I said, I want to sell the house because I'm scared and I have a lot of equity in the house. I said, we'll move to a rental in an apartment or something like that, but we got to be ready to hold on. And I was told, no, we're not selling the house because we live there with the kids. And it was at that moment, I remember the street I was driving in, the car I was driving, and the moment I said, and I need to get out of this marriage. You are not my partner. You were only my partner as things were going up.
Right.
Now, when I met her, I already had a lot of money, so she did
Right.
sign a prenup, but she was getting the benefits. The market didn't get that bad. Commercial property didn't get that horrible, and it was going to be
They
okay.
predicted it would, but it didn't.
They did, but I also needed a partner who was going to say, I got you.
Whatever you need.
Whatever it is, I got you. And, I have a wife like that now, kind of, who would live in the street if that's what it took, go get 4 jobs. But when you have a partner that's not great, and I tell people now, be very careful who you marry
Most
because
important thing.
it'll make or break you. I just read Larry Silverstein's book from, he rebuilt the World Trade Center, and he accredits everything to a fantastic wife, the most important decision you could make.
It's the single most important.
It really
decision.
is. It's a very important decision. So when that happened, my third party business was taken off. My real estate was okay, but I was going through savings, but it pivoted pretty quickly and I was able to get so many accounts and grow the company. Time, when you're going through things, it seems like forever, but when you look back on it, it seems like it was just a
10
hot minute.
minutes.
Yeah. So
But it
it
cost you
seemed like
marriage in an odd sense.
it did, which worked out to be
It
the
opens
greatest
your
thing.
eyes, right.
It wasn't supposed to be. So I got divorced. I got my thing and I built my business and kept chugging on. And
Did she get
life
half
was
the
great.
business or a good
she got
portion?
none of the business because there was a prenup.
Oh, there was a prenup.
There was a prenup in place. I always tell
right.
people you got to have a prenup. So she got what she was supposed to get, and we moved
Okay.
on and had 2 beautiful kids. And
Still friends?
with her, no.
Okay, that's a very good answer. Listen,
You know
this
what?
is-
I'll put it out there. It's public record.
This is a learning moment.
We've been apart over 15 years, and she's still suing me for money.
Over 15 years.
Over 15 years, they
With
just
the
don't
prenup.
stop. With the print, they want money.
They
It's
never
just
stop.
money. They want
They're
money.
entitled to every
Right.
dime you
And you
ever
know
make.
what? And you can't let that distract your business. You got to
No.
turn it over to your lawyers because they're just trying to get in your head.
Correct.
They're either connected for some reason, but that's the real stuff that happens in life when you make
Real
a bad
life.
partnership
This
decision.
is real
You
life.
got this gum stuck to your foot. You got to keep moving. You can't let that hold you back. Just keep going.
And it all came about. The market crashes. She's scared. You're scared. You want to play defense,
Yeah.
right? You don't need all this overhead right
That's right.
now.
Get rid of everything.
Let's pull some equity because you don't know how bad it's going to go.
That's right.
It could have got a lot worse, and then now you're fucked,
Yeah.
right? Because now your house is evaporating. All your equity is going out the window.
That's right.
And she says, no, we're not going to sell. So now this causes a lot of, talk about agita.
Yeah.
So now the business is going down and your partner's saying, no, I'm not leaving the ship.
Yeah. And I wasn't trying to sell for more opportunity.
No.
I was trying to sell
To survive.
as a safety net.
You wanted to survive, to make sure
Yeah.
the family is going to go on.
That's
to
right.
Fight another day. I get that. Trust me when I tell you, I've been through the worst of the worst. Trust me when I tell you that. I mean, it's beyond belief. And so I understand all this. And 3 kids,
2 kids, 2 daughters,
2 daughters.
2 amazing daughters. Couldn't be more proud of them.
I have 2
Both
daughters as
both
well.
have their act together. You know,
Guys like us make daughters, I guess.
you know what? I'm so happy to be a girl dad. I
Me
thought I
too.
was having a boy at first. The first person who told us it was going to be a boy when I was 3D places, and they were wrong. And I was not thrilled. I was like, I want a boy. I want my man, my little guy. But I'm so happy I have 2 daughters. They're spectacular, they're amazing. They've been through so much, and they're thriving in school. And I couldn't be more proud of them both. So
It's an amazing thing,
I'm
right?
just in that sense
And I
a
love
very
my girls
blessed,
too.
lucky guy.
When I
you
was
know.
driving down here from Boca, my youngest daughter called me up. She's like, "Dad, what up?"
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm like, we're just chatting, and,
Yep.
and I looked down, and all of a sudden I'm in Miami.
Yep.
All of a sudden I'm in Miami.
It's the
It was
greatest
the
thing.
most beautiful thing. I 35 minutes just went, and I didn't even. I talked to her for like a minute.
Yep.
My little girl, and so I understand all that. I was just thinking in my head when we were sharing about the property. So you have a management company. That's a very important pivot. So it's very important for people to understand that just because your business is built a certain way and you're in a certain type of it, doesn't mean that shit happens. A successful person has to understand that you got to adapt, you have to pivot, and oftentimes that opens great doorways to untold fortunes
Yep.
and riches that you never knew existed. And I'm a big believer that something like a divorce, a death, a pandemic, a prison sentence, whatever it be, you can utilize that to catapult yourself to higher levels, to levels you were never at. So now you get this divorce and you still have your same properties.
Yeah.
She was entitled to no properties, just some sort of formula for money.
Yeah.
Okay. And but she had custody of your daughters.
Well, we had shared custody.
Right.
I wound up with full custody. The court gave me full custody. So then I not only had to run my business, I had 100% custody of my 2 daughters, driving them to
That's
school,
a whole nother
driving
style.
2 girls to school, picking them up every day.
Wow.
You know, I had to do it all, which I couldn't be more thankful
And
for,
where
but
did
big
they grow
responsibility.
up? Where's the family growing up? Where's you?
We were in Sunny Isles, and they
Okay.
were going to school in Davie. So it was like a 20, 25-minute car ride to school. But remember, they have to be at school, and then on a regular working schedule, school started like at 7:30 in the morning or
That's
whatever it was.
crazy, bro.
So I got to wake up, drive them to school, and then they had to be picked up by 3 o'clock. So I was getting to work very early, but leaving early. And
get
then
on
by
the
the time I
pickup
picked them up,
line.
I wasn't going back to work because it didn't make sense. They were tired. They had tutors or whatever they did. So I would take them home and work a little more from home.
I
So you got to
understand.
get creative and figure
Well,
it out.
thank God you had your own. If you work for somebody else, it's a problem.
Yeah, but because of that, I'm very lenient. I have a lot of people in my office who leave at like 2, 3 o'clock, go get
Right.
their kids and come back.
And you understand what life is about. and That's
100%.
why
That's
you're
part of hiring. You got to be willing to accept that everybody's got something they got to
you're
deal
a
with.
good man because not everybody is that
That's right.
understanding. I mean,
Yeah.
you got to be a good person. So this is very interesting. I was just calculating 65 properties, 12 months a year. You're talking about almost 750 friggin' rents you got to collect it every
It's
month,
a lot of rents.
and that doesn't include other businesses. So you manage other people's properties
That's
as
right.
well. So you have people do this. You don't knock on doors, and
We do. I don't do that anymore, but
that's
I'm happy to
right.
still do it and get involved. I mean, I go to where I'm needed,
you pick up
but
checks.
for the most part, the team does what they do. So
a lot of banking going on.
banking's gotten to be one of the easiest components thanks to technology and AI. Back in the day when I started, I had to go physically pick up a check and physically bring it to a bank. Now everybody just ACHs the money and pays the
Everything.
rent. It's in your
Unbelievable, right.
account. There's a 0 days to clear. So
Take it off.
the
It's
banking's gotten
crazy.
easier. We pay bills online. That wasn't available. So the banking component's gotten a lot easier.
A lot easier.
A lot easier thanks
Technology
to
has
technology.
made it.
Software's made keeping records much easier. Rent increases. Back then there was no. There might have been a formula for a big company, but for me, I had a little calendar saying in June this
Right,
tenant's
right.
rent goes up 5%. So I had to run. Now it's all done
It's all
automatically. for you.
automatic. Yeah. And you have a team that oversees a lot of this kind of thing.
Yeah.
And now you manage, let's just say I owned a building, right? And I said, if I can't deal with this shit anymore, maybe I live in Canada.
That's right.
You take care of this for me, right?
We do everything. We collect the rents, we lease the property, we deal with renovations, whatever you need, we do everything. So you're the owner and you're like flying above us. We work for you.
What's the deal?
Depends on the size of the property. But generally, we do commercial properties. The fee we collect is between 4 to 6% of the gross collections.
It's not bad.
No.
It's very reasonable.
Yeah. Residential is higher. So if anyone's
gonna
listening,
say,
residential,
yeah.
residential is typically close to 10%.
I was going to say,
but it's a
10.
much harder beast
I've
to
heard
deal
as
with.
high as 12.
Yeah. Could be, but we're also dealing with a lot of tenants that pay a lot of rent.
Right.
So you may own a shopping center and have one tenant paying $40,000 a month.
Correct.
So the numbers are
Versus
bigger.
owning
Yeah.
like 40 units in a
Yeah.
rental apartment building.
Right. So
With that kind of nonsense.
residential is tougher.
Yeah.
They deserve more. We don't manage anything residential.
It's easy
Not for me.
peasy commercial.
Yeah.
I get it. B2B. We were
Yeah.
talking about this before you came in. Doing B2B business versus the B2C. The consumer is a whole different game.
It's tough.
Tougher game.
Hmm.
So we're in 2025. You remarried.
Yep.
Where'd you meet your wife?
I actually met her coincidentally at a restaurant on a Sunday fun day. But when I met her, I didn't actually ask her out or anything. I was just sitting there drinking a little espresso. It was like 7, 8 o'clock at night, trying to get maybe a little sober to head home. Not that I was driving, but
Okay.
sober before I got my Uber. And I was eating a little pizza and drinking espresso at a place called Sea Spice in Miami. And she came and she sat down coincidentally next to me with a couple of friends. And she was there on this bench. And we just started talking for like, I don't know, 5 minutes. And then she got up and walked away. And I said, who the hell is that girl? And the girl I had never seen before. Now I started running into her all the time. So then within a couple of months, I did finally.
Where'd you run into her?
Well, after that, I ran into a bunch of different places in Miami Beach. But it was finally in the Forge that I said, she said, I gave you my number. I said, no, you gave me a business card. That's not your phone number.
Right.
Yeah, give me your actual number. She goes, my cell phone's on it. So then we did get together. We went
Tough
out.
girl.
Yeah. She's a good one, though.
Yeah, sexy.
To me, she is.
She caught your eye, huh?
She did.
Yeah.
It was more than just the look. She's very pretty, but she had like the package.
Way about it.
Yeah.
Was she working?
She worked. She had at that time, she had a magazine and she had some other stuff going on. Then she opened up a beauty bar.
Okay.
So she keeps herself
Prying
very
a little
busy.
bit, but I'm just curious to know where
She keeps herself very
good-looking,
busy.
successful man like you, I half expect you to tell me Tinder or Hinge or some dating site.
I've never done any of those sites in my
never
whole
did either.
but I support them. I know a lot of
Me
people that
too.
do, and I think you got a great personality. You should never be on it if you needed it because you're the guy that has to go out and meet people in person because you got a big mouthpiece. I'm the same. But
Right.
so many people are timid and they're not getting dates. They're not going out because they don't want to try. So anything that helps you meet people, God bless you. Go
That's
give it a
what
shot.
I think, but
Yeah.
I've never tried a dating site.
I never tried it.
So-
I think everybody's fake on these sites. I don't think they look like that. My dad used to do that stuff and he would lie about it. I said, you're lying about everything. Everyone's liars.
Really? I have.
How about this? My dad's name is Tom Nepola, and he was on J-Date. He told people he was Jewish.
I love that.
I was like, Jewish?
I love that. Yeah.
He's like, that was pretty Jewish girls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody lies. I get.
Yep.
I know a woman, and she goes, I go, what do you say? She goes, oh, I like lie. She goes, no, I don't lie. And I look at a thing, and she's 10 years
Yeah,
younger.
exactly.
But that's not a lie to a woman.
No, that's not a lie. She said,
No,
I
I
posted
forgot I
it.
said
I
that's a
posted it
lie.
10
She
years
goes
ago.
crazy. No, that's who she in her mind. It's women. It's not considered a lie when a woman disguises her
I
age.
get it. They all do it on those
They all
sites.
do it.
Everybody's kind of telling a lie. And I've said this to people and their answers. Well, when you go out at night, people tell lies to each other too. They do.
Right.
So whatever works for you, God bless you. Have fun. It's all for fun.
I find it easy to meet people.
Yeah,
in
I
person.
can tell you do. You got that personality.
Yeah,
You can meet someone anywhere.
Yeah, I do, and
Yeah.
I genuinely like people.
Yeah.
I'm intrigued by people.
Yeah.
I find it fascinating. I'm not shy like that, and insecure. I have my own issues.
Yeah.
Plenty of issues.
We all got that. We got good and bad.
But meeting people's not. So to be in a computer, behind the computer trying to meet people, I'd probably have to call Nelson and say, Nelson, can you tell her this? I mean, because what do I know?
Tell her I think she's pretty. Tell her I'm going to take her to dinner.
I'm unfit for that kind of thing, but I am curious to check it out one of these days. When I get a free moment, I'm probably going to take a look. Now, you wrote a book. When you came in, you gave me this book, and I told you earlier, and I meant every word. I went on your social media, and I was fascinated by some of the things you put up there and the way you did it. I mean, it's it was clear to me instantly because I also believe 90% of the shit online is bullshit.
Mhm.
Everyone posts stuff on social. I never met so many experts.
That's right.
I never met so many poor people that were geniuses in the stock market. I never met so many, dopes. You know, but when I saw you walking down the street explaining the way a developer uh, established these townhouses,
Yeah.
I was so sold. I was ready to buy one.
And they're not mine.
I know you
It
made
was
that
just,
clear.
it was recognizing
But
somebody else's great work.
right,
Yeah.
and the way you were able to lay it out in such a very specific, intelligible way. Um, is that something you do from time to time? You find yourself driving around still looking at properties all these years later?
I do. I love to look for properties. That's my favorite part of it, is just trying to make deals happen. Whether it's even getting a new account, a new client, or buying a property, that's my love. That and growing the company. The book, and when I wrote the whole book as if I'm writing it to an intern. And I wrote this book myself. I'd come in the office, I'd sit there and type
I
away,
love
and I
it.
had to rewrite it. I had a guy help me out with some of the grammar and editing and all, but I wrote it as if I wrote it to one of my interns that knows nothing about real estate. And that's my views on my story. That's how you could invest in commercial properties, whether they're retail centers, office buildings, self storages, whether you want to trade in publicly traded companies. And it just gives the general basics to any way to invest in real estate. And the reason I wrote the book for charity is because I don't want to be one of these guys out there that says, buy my book because I need to make $5 off you. I make enough money off real estate, I'm good. So I give all the proceeds I get from this book, which unfortunately from books is not that much, but
Right.
I give it away. This way I could shamelessly plug the book too and tell people buy it because I'm not making it any money. But
Correct.
these are my honest views after 26, 27 years in the business. The book is great because it's very basic. So a lot of my friends who are very experienced have read it and said, yeah, it was really good. But it's great to see someone's story from start to where I'm at now. Nowhere near the end, but that vision of it. But I still love to go out and look at properties. I still love to teach people. As you know, on social media, far too many people are enticing, especially the younger generation, and they're showing them their fancy cars and their watches, and
Such
and,
bullshit.
and they're buying into it. And there's sites out there. There's guys like like this baller busters and guys like that calling them out.
Right,
And
right.
I appreciate that sometimes because the people who helped me, they didn't ask for anything. They weren't trying to sell me a course or tell me
Right.
I got to pay them a monthly fee. People do want to help each other. A guy like you could be doing 100 better things right now, but you're doing podcasts to give back.
Exactly.
And you're getting zero. Now, there's nothing wrong with the course, but I would only want to buy a course from a person who actually is doing that still. I don't
get it.
like these guys that say, well, I know how to do it, but I'm going to teach you. Then you're a school teacher. You're a teacher. You're no different.
And
So
then you really don't know how to do it. I hate to say
and they do it on a lot of hype. So the reason I started with the social media is I want people to get the right belief that, this is a guy who does it. I don't sell a course. I don't do a mentorship program. I don't do coaching. I meet a lot of people, but for free. And this is the best way to get into real estate because the greatest thing that's happened in my business life was buying that first property. It didn't make great sense when I bought it, but it changed my life. Since I've been 25 years old, I've had financial freedom. That doesn't mean I didn't worry about money.
Of
It
course.
just means I never had to worry about how I was going to pay a bill. I don't have to go out and look at a restaurant and see how much things are going to cost because real estate does it. I don't have to worry if, God forbid, I'm going to get run over by a bus, what will happen to my family because the real estate will take care of them. So it gives you the greatest investment tool on earth. And that's why I want everybody to invest in property.
Gives you real freedom.
Yeah. And I'm not trying to be a broker. I'm saying go find your property in your neck of the woods and own a property. And do that if you want to be a school teacher, if you want to be an athlete, if you want to be a doctor, but own properties.
Keeping it real on commercial real estate. Todd T. Nepola. What does the T stand for?
Thomas, after my dad.
So it's Todd Thomas. Interesting. The right answers to all your real estate questions. I mean, you are a special guy.
Thank you.
I feel really privileged to have you here today. In fact, I did drive all the way from Boca just for you.
Well, you got to talk to your daughter, so
Well, but I'm just saying,
You're a
I don't do
winner.
this for everybody. I just want you. I
Yeah.
want to be clear about this so you understand. I'm really appreciative. One of the things about, as we sit here right now, I think about the South Florida. Very tough to find properties like you did. You know what I'm saying?
it is very hard.
It's very difficult to find to get a decent rent roll and to feel like your equity is going to grow. And I almost feel like there's as much downside as there is upside right now. Is that
It's very tough. And that's what I try and teach people. Stop looking for the perfect deal in the perfect location. You got to be the visionary, like I said earlier about
find the
Michael
right
Desert.
property?
You got to find the right place at a fair deal. Find a great property at a fair deal, much better than a fair
Right.
property at a great
That's
deal.
that's really great advice.
Find it and have time. So if you could buy a property and say, I'm not looking to flip it, I want to buy this property because I know they're going to widen the road, they're building a hospital there. You know what? Today's 2025. I know in 2040, when I actually might need this
Even
money,
2030.
it might
Right.
be a great property. And if you have that timeline, it'll do that. But it's no different than when everyone's telling you invest in a 401k or put your money into
Right,
funds.
right,
It's
right.
supposed to be for the future.
Correct. Don't touch
But
it.
nothing is going to give you the benefits of real estate. And again, I'm not like a broker, but you're going to get the depreciation, the tax write-offs. You're going to get appreciation. Your tenants are going to pay your rents. Is there risk? Of course, there's always risk, but there's a greater risk in doing nothing. And I have
I
a lot
agree
of
with that.
clients who own properties today that own them as businesses and just bought the properties and they're living off the real estate today. And they'll all tell you they made more money off the real estate than they made in their entire career.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have stories like that too, but this is your time today. Would you say that potentially you should be looking at other markets than this particular market right now? This is a little bit saturated, don't you
You know,
think?
Miami's super saturated. I don't even look at Miami.
Right.
It's a developer's game here. Every little property is worth way
It's
too much as land.
ridiculous.
So you got to take yourself to the next thing. You know, I buy a lot of properties up in Port St. Lucie, Riviera
Oh,
Beach,
okay.
West Palm Beach. You know,
Yeah.
we're going to the areas that's not like this. If you're looking to get a deal on Brickell in Miami,
Good luck.
man, you're not even going to get a deal on a condo right now because once the
No.
price is a little low, someone's going to step in and buy it cash. But if you're willing to go to an outside market that's developing, you'll be great.
Now you have a chance.
Right. That's how you
my
do it.
brother-in-law's made a lot of money buying, fixing, selling homes in the Boca Raton area
Make a
for
fortune.
a bunch of years.
Yeah.
Now he's up in St. Augustine, that area.
Yeah.
Ponte Vedra.
Pontevedra, yeah.
You know, this is and it's a little tough right now. They're not selling right now. These are all properties on the beach, that kind of a thing at decent prices. But
But that's the key. If you need to sell, if you're telling me you need to put your money in real estate and get it out in a year or two, I don't recommend you buying it.
right.
But if you're telling me you're 33 years old and you're married and you got some money saved up and you're worried about your retirement, you're worried about how your kids are going to go to college, that's the strike price.
Right.
That's when you want to get in because you're not going to be a seller. You're going to buy the property, do everything you can to appreciate it, take all the benefits, let the tenants pay it off, and you'll refinance it or you'll live off it one day. And if you love it, buy a second, a third, a fourth, and fifth.
But you do have to be cognizant of the fact that your market might be fully valued.
Oh, yeah.
And like you say, if it's look at the right property. Don't be so concerned with the best deal, right? Fair price, but a great property.
You want the great property.
Okay, now, is there anything that you want to tell this audience today that we haven't covered to your knowledge?
Let's see. We've covered quite a bit. It's
I'm
been a
very
really
thorough.
fun podcast.
I'm very thorough.
You know, I guess the message that I always want to relay to people is that far too many people believe you have to have some special gift or talent or come from money or do anything to become successful. And you really don't. You just have to accept that it's going to be harder than you thought it was going to be. There really is no shortcut. There's nobody on anywhere who's going to be able to sell you some quick hack that's going to make it easier.
Thank you.
It's hard. It's hard. And you're going to have sleepless nights and you're going to get a lot of gray hair. Just because I diet now to be youthful, you get a lot of gray hair. It is what it is.
I was
But
wondering about
a lot
that.
of, a lot of dye. Started dying about a year ago and everyone called me old. But you got to go through that. And you know what? That story of the sleepless nights of when I started my company, I didn't know how I was going to pay my employees because I was so scared. That's the ride up, man. That's the best part. We talk about guys like Bezos now, especially with him being in Miami and all the things he
Can you
has.
imagine?
You know, he did so well, but all his stories relate to day one. That was his theory at Amazon. It's always about day one.
Day one.
Those were his best days. He's not having as much fun driving around in a yacht as he
how
did
about
building.
raising $1 million? 43 people to get his first $1 million.
That's right.
43 people.
Right. And you know how many no's you have to hear to get there?
Listen, I know.
That's the stories.
Yeah.
So the message I'm always trying to tell people is you got to figure things out on your own. I love what you said earlier. Don't work for people. Well, some people don't have that luxury, but you could work for people, but you got to have your own side thing too.
Always have
You
to.
got to be in control. I saw it firsthand when I was a little kid when my dad lost his job. I never felt pain. We didn't miss meals. But I could imagine how scared this guy was when he had to drive home and tell his wife and kids. We didn't tell his kids, but tell his wife,
Right.
we don't have a job. Don't let
Scary.
yourself get in that position. Get to it before it happens. Because if you, God forbid, lose your job, but you own 3 investment properties, you're going to be able to pay the bills.
You're going to be okay.
While you look for your next thing.
And there's no quick hacks. That's the thing on
There's
social
none.
media. This hack.
Yeah.
I mean, the only one that's getting hacked is you if you take that
100%.
hack.
The only quick hack is it's going to be hard.
Okay.
It's going to take you longer than you thought, and it's going to be harder than you thought, but it's going to be worth it.
Tell everybody how we find you.
You could find me. You obviously get my book. It's available on Amazon. Jeff again on Amazon, Target.
Todd Nepola.
Yeah.
Todd T. Nepola.
I'm on
How do we
social
find you on
media.
Instagram.
Instagram, Life According to Todd.
The
TikTok.
Life According to Todd.
Life According to Todd. All videos every day on real
TikTok.
estate, business.
TikTok.
TikTok is Todd Nepola.
Todd Nepola. YouTube.
Have a Todd Nepola one too. Yes.
Todd Nepola.
It's generally, to be fair, it's generally the same thing on all of me.
I love it.
I'm not in the social media business, so we kind of just put it to all of them at once.
I love it. Todd, it was a real privilege.
It's
to meet
really
you
been a
today.
lot of fun.
Thank you
brother.
so much.
Pleasure.
Really. Great job.
Thanks for having me.
Really a privilege.